Hey all, welcome back to our adventures in Advent of Code. We are already on day 10. I mean, if I could show you where we are, we have progressed through days 1 through 9. We're making very good progress here. I admit I had a lot of help for day 6, and my code for day 8 was not nearly as optimal as it really should have been to at least be feasible. Anywho, day 10. You asked the submarine to determine the best route of the deep sea cave, but it only replies system syntax error navigation subsystem. All of them. So, reading through this, every open parentheses must have a closed parenthesis. Every open square brace must have a closed square bracket. Every open curly brace must have a closing curly brace, and every open angle brace must have an open angle bracket. So, like elsewhere in computer programming, you want all these groupings to be defined and matched up well. So, for example, this open and closed parentheses is fine. Open and closed square bracket is fine. And also compositions where you can have these groupings one inside the other. So then, what we're looking for is in these lines where your code would have ran into an error as if it was a computer code. So most of these lines are okay under the normal grouping rules and having open and closed endpoints, or not endpoints, but the symbols at the ends. But say for example in this line, is an open square bracket, but later on it forgets to find the end square bracket, or it's not there. So what we're doing for part 1 is going through this until we encounter an error in that sense in the brackets. So we're looking for the first illegal character. And then we have these point values. If it's a parenthesis, we're going to assign 3 points. If it's a square bracket, 57. If it's a curly brace, this many. And if it's an angle bracket, this many. Once we go through all the lines, here all the lines of the example, and then find all the illegal characters, the puzzle at that point wants us to add up the points and plug it in. This this group of symbols here is the example, and this here is our wonderful puzzle input. So let's get started. I'm gonna, like usual, by now I should have improved the way I bring in code, but this is still better for new learners. I'm going to create a text file for the example and create a text file for the puzzle input. So the example is this set of symbols. I'm going to bring that right back up. And the input is this much bigger set of symbols. I mean, for one thing, what I accidentally did there is I could have just saved this information as a text file. But with my little bit of experience with puzzle solving, I just really want to make sure that there's no extra white spaces at the end of the lines or at the end of the file. So that's what I'm looking for. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try out this trick that I just thought of right before filming. And if this works, fantastic. If this trick doesn't work, then quite frankly, I might not make a video today. I'm going to replace all the open parentheses with capital P. I'm going to replace all the closed parentheses with lowercase p. And I'm going to do something like that with the other symbols as well, so that when I'm doing my computer code, I don't have to worry about the special characters. As much. So now, what I'm looking for in the example is pairs like this, where you have the uppercase letter and the lowercase letter. Does that make sense? Because if I had an uppercase letter and a lowercase letter, that was an open square bracket followed by a closed square bracket. And what I'm going to do is then, for each of these lines, keep removing the correct groupings and we'll see what we get. Oops. I meant to save that as a different file name. Oh well. Okay, let's get started programming wise. We are on day 10. That's our date. I'm going to be doing some string manipulation that's going to be coming from the tidyverse. And I like to bring in the documentation, even if other people do not. And like usual, bring in my data files. So we'll turn off the big puzzle input for now. In the example, we are dealing with 10 lines. That is, we're dealing with these 10 lines here. And in particular, the puzzle input, I've already converted the characters so that we have this system here. So what I think I want to do is create a function called remove good pairs that's going to take in a string now each string is up to this many characters long. So let me see if I could quickly look at this input. Let me bring up a better text editor. So if I look at these strings in Notepad++, look at the bottom right, there's about 110 characters in a string. And each time we remove a good pair, we're going to remove two characters. But I think I'm going to keep this as 100. That is, what I'm going to do is look at each line several times. And I'm going to take, for every time there's a parenthesis, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, I'm going to replace it with nothing. So what this does is removes that type of pair. Open parenthesis, close parenthesis. Do the same thing with the square brackets. Do the same thing with the curly braces. And do the same thing with the angle braces. So now what I'm looking at, code's complicated enough, I shouldn't. What I'm looking at is from the example, the first line should return nothing. That is, everything is fine as far as the groupings are concerned. Oh, and I should have also went to my example file with the actual letters. So I'm going to test this out on this string here. Oh, and I should have returned this string. That's not quite what I wanted. wonder if it's because I replaced all. Let me see what happens if I just get rid of these pairings one at a time. That's not it. Because what I'm trying to do, look at here at the bottom left, is every time there's a p and lowercase p pair, I'm getting rid of that. And then every time there's a capital S, lowercase s pair, I'm getting rid of that. Same thing with the C's, and then same thing with the A's. The problem is, I can see why I'm getting this input. It's just that I'm not correctly removing the pairs. Because when I'm so that's what I'm wondering. If I'm collapsing these, am I collapsing them correctly? There is a small chance that I did things correctly. Let me maybe try a string that I know for a fact is wrong. But unfortunately I have to do my hacky conversion. On that one, on that string, it leaves this behind. So what does that mean for us? We eventually want to end up with the curly brace. So it looks like I might just need to find the first lowercase letter if I'm viewing this correctly. So this one, yeah, I might just be looking for the first lowercase letter. Look at that. So that's my idea at the moment. Look for the first lowercase letter in the remains. That'd be crazy if this actually worked out. So let me Google search that. I want to find the first lowercase letter. So say if I took a string like this here in the bottom left, if I took a string like that and I string extract that string for the first lowercase letter, I'm going to get the letter P. Okay. So now for row in 1 through n, I want this row to be the puzzle input. I want to let me also double check something. If I do a string extract on something that has all capital letters, I get NA. So then what I want to do is the paired things I've been doing already. I want to remove the good pairs of this row. Then I want to string extract to find the first lowercase letter. I'm going to save this as the first problem character. And then, because that problem character might be a missing value, I want to check if it's missing, but do the opposite and say that I want the not missing character. So now we bring in this point system. We start our total points at 0, And if that first problem character is the closed parenthesis, then we add 3 points. If the first problem character is the closed square bracket, we add 57 points. If the first closed character is closed curly brace, we add 1,197 points. And if first closed character is closed angle bracket, we add about 25,000 points. And why did I call that points there? Sometimes I'd like to use long variable names to make sure I don't accidentally run into a variable name that's already been defined in the programming language. So here we have replicated the example, got to 26,397 points. So now what I need to do is in my input file also do the same thing. I need to replace all the open parentheses with capital P. I need to replace all the closed parentheses with lowercase p. Need to replace all the open square brackets with capital S. All the closed square brackets with lowercase s. All the open curly braces with capital C. All the closed curly braces with lowercase c. All the open angle braces with capital A. And all the closed angle braces with lowercase a. And let's hope this works out. Going to switch things back over to the input file. And if my ideas worked, it's great. If not, I'm just going to have to stop the video, really. Woo! Now discarded corrupted lines. The remaining lines are incomplete. Incomplete lines don't have any incorrect characters. Instead, they're missing some closing characters at the end of the line. To repair the navigation subsystems, you need to figure out the sequence of closing characters that complete the chunks in the line. So you only get to use those. I think I see what's going on here. Okay, so once, say that in this last example here, once this collapses, there will still be some open and closed characters somehow, and we need to add on a closed square bracket, a closed parenthesis, a closed curly brace, and a closed angle bracket. What I am thinking is that if we get an entry that's all capital letters, we reverse the order of the letters, convert those to lowercase, and then just add up the score. Okay, let's finish reading the instructions though. Did you know that autocomplete tools also have contests? It's true. The score is determined by the completion string character by character, starting with score 0, then for each character multiply the total score by 5, and then increase the total score by a given point character. So for this last example, we start with 0, multiply by 5, then we add on 2 points, then we multiply by 5, and for the closed parenthesis, we add on 1 point, and so forth. Autocomplete tools are an odd bunch. The winner is found by sorting all the scores and taking the middle score. There's going to be an odd number of candidates, so that's going to be the median, the simple version of the median. In this example, the middle score is because there are the same number of scores smaller and larger than that. Complete the completion screen for each line. What is the completion score and whatnot? Okay. I think I'm really close to the answer. I seriously do. I'm ridiculously excited. So what I want to do is once again go through each row, find the first problem character. But first I want to I think I want to do a helper function. So I'm going to split the string. And then what I'm going to do is for each of these characters, compute the score like in the example. So, first of all, total score starts at 0. And each time you start the next part of the loop, multiply the total score by 5. And if this string split is a closed parenthesis, the total score adds 1. If we encounter a closed square bracket, add 2. If we encounter a closed curly brace, add 3. And if we encounter a closed angle bracket, add 4. We're going to return the total score, and I want to test this now. what do I call that? Completion score, right? I want to test that on a couple strings here. It's just that I have to convert them with my hacks. So CC, SS, P, C, P, and S. Whoops, forgot. I want to only look at one letter at a time. And I got that example. Great. And then if I have this example here, let's try one more. I got the 5566. Okay, cool. I think we are on a great track. So now what we're doing is going through each row, doing the same things as part 1, except I don't need a total score anymore. And if there are no problem characters, then we do something here. Okay. So now what I want I want to store things in a data frame so I can show you what's going on. We got our original string. We got our examined string. We're going to have a completion string. And we're going to have a completion score. I'm going to store all this in a data frame. So that my information will be in this data frame here. And I forgot to turn the example back on. So the data frame has this amount of space with it. Now, in the data frame, original string in this row will simply be this row. And then data frame examined string will be what we get after we remove the good pairs. So now what I have in the data frame is this here. What I'm looking for are the rows with all capital letters. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is with each row of all capital letters, I'm going to reverse the order of the letters and put them all in lowercase. I want to see if there's a way in R if I could just reverse a string. This is not too bad. So df completion string, you take the I should call this something a little easier to read. The string to examine. Okay, so we're going to take this string to examine. String split that. Then we're going to reverse it. Then we are going to put two lowercase. And then we're still in the row. Oh, and I got to because I split up the string, I got to place them back together. Okay. So now, see what I did is exactly what I said I would do. In the second column, if the entry we got at that point was all capital letters, I'm going to reverse the string order. Instead of reading from left to right, I'm reading from right to left, and put all the letters into lowercase. And then the completion score, I've already built a helper function. I probably should not have called these the same thing though. Should not have called these the same thing though. I'm gonna call this one tally or total. Okay. So now, see the numbers at the right. For every time we correctly added the parenthesis, square bracket, curly brace, or angle brace, according to the puzzle instructions, we computed the completion score. And then finally, in our the median I'm going to call this the median autocomplete score is, and then we want the median of the completion total, but there are missing values. So I now have replicated the example. We got to turn on the original input, run the program, got an answer of about 3 billion. I could have timed that. Boom! Look at that. I think that was my best hacks ever. Okay. I'm such a glutton for punishment. Let's see how the leaderboard's going. Some people solved the whole thing in 8 minutes. Oh, jeez. And me, I was in the top 8,000. Yeah, I guess it was an easier puzzle, but I think I came up with a clever solution. So let me just type that at the very beginning of my code here. This is the trick. So I converted all parentheses to letters, converted all square brackets to letters, converted all curly braces to letters, and converted all angle braces to letters. And yeah, I'll have the code linked hopefully, and once again we solved both halves of the puzzle within an hour. Okay, till next time.